Hello and welcome back to the studio. You are tuned in to another edition of The Deep Dive, and we are jumping right into episode 19 of our series, Building Humans.
Great to be here.
I have to say, looking at the notes we have for today, I am genuinely ready to get my mind blown again.
Well, I think this one will do it.
And as always, this deep dive is only possible because of our amazing partners. We have the Al-Mahaba Foundation, who live and breathe their guiding principle of love for all and service to all.
And of course, the Dar el-Kalima Publishing House, who are the guardians of these incredible texts we get to explore.
Exactly. So for anyone just joining us, this isn't just a parenting show. This is a deep exploration of human construction, all based on the work of Maria Montessori.
And today is, well, it's a bit different. We're crossing a boundary.
We are.
Usually we stay in our lane,
Yeah.
Education, psychology, that sort of thing, how to handle tantrums, how to teach reading.
Right.
But today...
Today we're swerving. We are swerving directly into the lane of medicine. And the claim we're looking at today is, it's audacious. I mean, if I saw this in a headline, I'd probably just scroll right past it.
You'd think it was clickbait.
Totally. But because it comes from Maria Montessori, a scientist, a doctor, had to stop. The title for this deep dive is, The Spirit's Impact on Health, Why a Happy Soul Makes a Healthy Body.
It's a title that promises a lot, doesn't it? It challenges how we tend to separate everything.
It really does. And it all starts with this hook, this medical mystery. Let's set the scene for everyone because the context is just so important here.
Absolutely.
We're talking about the very first children's houses. And
Yeah.
these were not fancy, elite private schools.
Oh, not at all. We're talking about the slums, specifically the San Lorenzo district in Rome, a place of real poverty.
So the kids come through the door.
Yeah.
What was their condition? What do they look like?
The source material paints a very specific and pretty grim picture of their before state. These were children described as sickly, weak, physically frail. The text even uses words like dim to describe them. So you have to imagine pale complexions, very low energy, maybe from poor nutrition, sure, but also just from a crushing environment. They were timid, frightened, lacking any kind of physical vitality.
Okay, so you have a child like that in that era. And honestly, even today, what's the standard medical response? What do you do?
The standard medical model is all about intervention. You see a frail body, and your first thought is to, bolster it from the outside.
Right, fix it.
You prescribed tonics, which were hugely popular back then, heavy vitamins, you put them on a high-calorie diet, maybe even strict bed rest. You're treating the body like a broken machine that needs chemical fixes and mechanical rest.
But that is not what happened in the children's house. They didn't turn it into some kind of clinic.
No, they did the opposite.
And the after state that's described in the source is just, it's wild. These exact same sickly kids, after just spending time in this new educational environment, they began to transform.
And not just in their minds.
No. That's the thing. It wasn't just, they learned to share. Their bodies actually changed. The text says their faces started to glow with health. They got energetic. They grew physically stronger.
And here's the kicker.
The kicker is no medicine, no special tonics, no specific health food diet was mentioned. It was just the environment, just the change in how they lived their days.
That's it.
So this brings me to the big provocative question for this whole deep dive. Is it even possible that a teaching method, a way you arrange some shelves and speak to a child, can actually improve their physical health more effectively than a pharmacy?
And that is the question that defines everything we're about to discuss. And Montessori's answer, based on her direct observation, is a resounding yes. But we have to understand why. It's not magic.
It sounds a little like magic.
I know it sounds like it, but I have to insist. This is pure biology. It's grounded in physiology.
Okay, pure biology. How?
To get it, you have to see a human being the way she did. And you have to remember, she was a medical doctor first. She didn't just stop being a doctor when she walked into a classroom.
She just started seeing a different kind of patient.
A different kind of patient, exactly. Her whole thesis is the non-separation of the soul and the body.
The non-separation. That's a heavy concept.
It is, because we love to compartmentalize, don't we? We say the body is the hardware, the mind is the software.
Yeah.
And we take the hardware to the mechanic, the doctor, and the software to the programmer, the teacher. But in a human, the software is constantly building and rebuilding the hardware. The spirit directly impacts the flesh.
Okay, let's unpack this. We've got a roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to start with the physiology of the spirit. Then we're going to debunk the myth of the good eater with something called nervous hunger,
Hmm.
then the opposite, loss of appetite, and finally the cure for all of it, normalization.
It's a journey from the symptoms right down to the root cause.
Perfect. So let's dive into section 1, the physiology of the spirit. You said the software builds the hardware. The source material talks about metabolism. Now, when I hear metabolism, I think fast or slow.
Hmm.
I think about my diet or, how fast I can burn off a pizza. How does the spirit affect that?
Okay, so let's redefine metabolism for a second. Try to think of it not just as burning calories, but as the rate at which life itself is functioning within you.
The rate of life.
Or it's like
Yeah.
the engine's idle speed. It's the vigor with which your cells are turning fuel into life. And the source explains that when a spirit is starved,
And what does starved mean here?
it means when a child has no meaningful work to do, when their entire day is shaped by adults saying, don't touch that, sit still, no, not like that, when their inner drive is crushed, the physical systems literally get depressed.
They slow down.
They physically slow down. A depressed spirit leads to a depressed metabolism. Your circulation becomes sluggish. Your breathing gets shallow. I mean, think about it. If you're not excited about life, you don't take big gulps of air.
You just kind of sip at it.
You sip at life, exactly. And that's such a sad image, but it's physically true.
And what's the result of that? Physically.
Well, the result is a frail body. If your blood isn't pumping with vigor, if your lungs aren't fully expanding, then all the toxic byproducts in your body aren't getting flushed out efficiently. Your oxygenation levels are lower. You're basically running in a low power mode.
Like a phone when the battery's at 5%.
Perfect analogy. It's a car that's constantly being driven in first gear or just left to idle until it's about to stall.
So that child looks dim
Mm-hmm.
because their internal fire is barely a flicker.
Precisely. Now, let's contrast that with the happy child biology described in the notes. And again, we need to be very, very precise with our language. Happy, in the Montessori sense, doesn't mean amused.
It's not about being entertained.
No, it doesn't mean watching a clown or getting a toy. It means satisfied.
Satisfied.
It means a child who is deeply, profoundly focused on a task that they have chosen and that they love. A child who has found what she calls meaningful work.
And the source says this state. It improves their digestion. How does that work?
It's the autonomic nervous system. When you're in that state of peaceful flow, your parasympathetic nervous system, what some people call the rest and digest mode, it becomes dominant.
Ah, okay.
And when that system is in charge, your body is primed to absorb nutrients. Your gut literally works better. Everything is calm.
What about sleep? Because I feel like sleep is the holy grail for every parent on the planet.
Oh, sleep is a huge one. A child with a starved spirit is almost always a restless child. Think about it from an adult perspective. If you spend all day sitting in a boring meeting, just trapped in a chair, are you physically tired at night?
Not really. I'm wired. I'm agitated.
Exactly. You have all this pent-up energy that never got used. A child who has worked their spirit is like a person who has done a good day's physical labor. They sleep the deep, restorative sleep of the just.
It's like having a dog you haven't walked. If you don't walk the dog, it tears up the sofa.
That is a brilliant analogy.
If you don't walk the child's spirit, they can't rest. They tear up their own internal sofa.
That's it. The tearing up the sofa is that internal restlessness. So the big takeaway here is to pause. Instead of rushing to the medicine cabinet when a child is vaguely unwell or can't sleep or seems lethargic,
You should ask a different question.
we should ask, is this child's soul getting what it needs?
A satisfied soul is the best medicine.
That's it, right there. It shifts the whole focus from fixing the body to healing the environment.
It turns the parent from a pharmacist into, like, a gardener.
Exactly. You stop checking the pill bottle and you start checking the soil. Is the soil rich enough for this little plant to grow?
That is such a powerful shift.
Mm.
Okay, let's move into section 2, because this is where the source material just completely throws a curveball.
All right.
We've just established that a starved spirit can look frail. But sometimes a starved spirit looks like the exact opposite.
Nervous hunger.
This section absolutely blew my mind because I come from a culture, and I think most of us do, where a good eater is the ultimate sign of a healthy kid.
Oh, absolutely. The grandmother pinching the cheek saying, look at him, he's so solid, he cleans his plate.
Yes, we see that as the gold standard of health. If they're eating, everything must be okay.
It's a universal sign of love and well-being in so many cultures. We equate caloric intake with robustness.
But you're here to tell me that's a myth, or at least it can be a myth.
It can be a mask, Montessori observed that very often this voracious, almost obsessive appetite wasn't being driven by a biological need for calories.
It was driven by something else.
It was driven by psychology. She coined this specific term for it, nervous hunger.
Nervous hunger. It sounds like something an adult gets during a bad week at work. That's when I start eyeing the pantry.
It is exactly the same mechanism. Think about it. When we're stressed or anxious or just incredibly bored, what's the first thing we do?
Open the fridge, just to look.
We open the fridge, we're looking for a little dopamine hit, we're looking for something to do, something to fill the time and the space.
We call it comfort eating or boredom snacking.
Precisely. And children do the exact same thing. The source analyzes the root cause as either boredom or a restriction of the spirit. If a child is in an environment where they cannot exercise their mind, where they can't move freely, they start to feel an internal void.
An internal void. That sounds really dramatic. But for a child who is literally built to explore and learn, boredom must feel like a physical emptiness.
It is a spiritual vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. The child feels this emptiness inside, this profound lack of intellectual and spiritual nourishment, and they try to solve the problem physically.
Wow.
They try to fill the spiritual hole with physical matter, with food.
So the obsessive eating is just a way to compensate for what's missing.
Yes, it's a compensatory behavior. And the real tragedy is that parents often reinforce it without realizing. They see the child eating a lot and they think, oh, good, he's healthy. They might even encourage it.
Here, have another cookie. Sit down and be quiet.
Exactly. The food becomes a pacifier. It becomes a mute button for the child's real, deeper needs.
This leads to the concept in the notes about being hungry for life.
Right. This is the key distinction we have to make. Are they hungry for calories? Or are they hungry for life experiences? A child has a naturally voracious appetite for learning, for touching, for doing, for experimenting.
And if you starve that appetite,
The hunger doesn't just go away. It displaces. It moves from the soul to the stomach.
this brings us to a really sensitive topic, but the source goes there, so we have to.
Yeah.
The physical indicators of health.
Yes.
We're conditioned to see a chubby child and think robust or healthy. But the source clarifies that this chubbiness might actually be a symptom of what Montessori calls a psychological deviation.
And this is a very difficult truth for many of us to face, and we have to approach it with a lot of compassion. But if the weight gain is a result of nervous hunger, of eating to soothe a bored or repressed spirit, then that weight isn't a sign of health.
It's a sign of imbalance.
It's a sign of imbalance. It's often fluid retention. It's fat accumulation without good muscle tone underneath. It's a kind of heaviness that comes from stagnation, not vitality.
So true health is defined by balance, not just weight. A truly healthy child is agile, energetic, functional, not necessarily the heaviest kid in the class.
Correct. The child who is normalized, and we'll get to that term in a bit, they eat with a natural, healthy appetite. They eat when they're hungry and they stop when they're full. They don't use food as an emotional crutch.
That is a huge aha moment for me. We worry so much about what our kids are eating. Is it organic? Is it gluten-free? But maybe the more important question is why they are eating.
That's the question.
Are they eating to fuel an adventure, or are they eating because they're not allowed to have an adventure?
That one question could change everything for a family. Is this snack fuel? Or is it a distraction from a deeper need?
Okay, so that's the child who eats too much. But now we have to flip the coin. Let's go to section 3, which covers the opposite extreme, and I think this is even more stressful for parents.
Yes.
The child who refuses to eat.
The loss of appetite.
Oh man, the mealtime wars. I know so many people who just dread dinner time. It's the airplane spoon, the bargaining, the just 3 more bites, the crying. It becomes a literal battleground.
It is a war. And in any war, you have to look at the strategies of both sides to understand what's happening.
So why does a child go on a hunger strike? Is it really just that they hate broccoli? Or is there something deeper going on?
Well, rarely is it just about food preference. I mean, sure, kids have taste buds and there are textures they don't like. That's normal.
Yeah.
But a persistent, ongoing loss of appetite or picky eating that becomes a dominant personality trait is often what Montessori saw as a defense mechanism.
A defense against what?
Against control.
Ooh, okay. Break that down for me.
Think about the life of a typical young child, especially in a traditional household. Adults control almost everything.
Everything.
When they wake up, what they wear, where they go, what they can and can't play with, when they have to stop playing. The child has very little actual sovereignty over their own life. They are essentially living in a benevolent dictatorship.
That's so true. Even the best Most loving parents are dictators. We have to be, right? For safety.
Uh,
But I guess from the child's perspective, it must feel overwhelming at times.
it does. Now, imagine you have zero control over your entire life.
Hmm.
But there is one fortress, one final sanctuary that the adult cannot fully invade:
The mouth.
the mouth. You can force a child to sit in a chair,
Oh.
you can force them into a snowsuit, you can buckle them into a car seat, but you cannot, short of actual physical violence, force them to swallow.
So the mouth becomes the boundary, the last line of defense.
Exactly. So when a child clamps their mouth shut when the spoon is coming,
Yeah.
they're not just rejecting the peas.
They're rejecting you, or at least your control over them.
The source material puts it so powerfully. It says, their body rejects the food because their spirit is rejecting the control. The physical symptom, the closing of the mouth, is just a manifestation of a spiritual no. It's a silent protest.
That puts the whole just one more bite negotiation in a completely different light. It's not about nutrition at that point. It's a power struggle.
It is entirely a power struggle. And look at the adult's role in this. Often we're trying to force the child to eat at our speed. Hurry up, we have to go. Eat now, it's dinner time, regardless of whether they're hungry.
Or we weaponize it.
We weaponize nourishment. If you eat your vegetables, you can have dessert. You have to eat this because I said so.
And the child just digs their heels in and defends themselves the only way they know how.
By not participating, by shutting the whole system down.
So all the tricks, the here comes the airplane, the begging, the threatening, it's all futile.
It's worse than futile. It's counterproductive. It actually deepens the deviation. Every time you try to force it, you're confirming to the child that this is, in fact, a battle they need to fight.
You're trying to fix a spiritual problem, a lack of autonomy, with a mechanical solution, a spoon.
And it will never work. You're reinforcing their need to defend their last bit of territory.
It's like you said, you can't force a metabolism to work if the spirit is on strike.
Perfect. That's the headline. To fix the appetite, you don't focus on the food. You don't get a new recipe book. You focus on the relationship. You focus on autonomy. You have to lower the pressure.
But that's terrifying for a parent, isn't it? The thought is, if I don't force him to eat, he'll starve.
And that's the fear we have to overcome with trust in biology. A healthy child will not voluntarily starve themselves to death in the presence of food. They won't. Not unless there's a severe psychological blockage.
So the solution is to surrender.
It's to remove the power struggle. You put good, healthy food on the table, you eat your own meal peacefully, you let them be. And eventually, biology takes over. Hunger is a powerful primal instinct. It will win, but only if you surrender the control first.
So the cure for picky eating isn't a better recipe. It's better respect.
In so many of these cases, yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
This is all really heavy stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, we've talked about the starving spirit that slows the body down, the bored spirit that overstuffs the body, and now the oppressed spirit that shuts the body down. It really seems like a huge number of common childhood health issues are actually just SOS signals from the soul.
That is the core message of this entire chapter. But we're not just here to diagnose the problem. We need to talk about the cure.
Yes, let's get to the good news. Section 4, healing through normalization.
This is the beautiful part. This is where the whole building humans philosophy really comes together.
So if the problem is spiritual boredom, lack of control, repression, how does the Montessori environment physically heal the child? What's the actual mechanism? You've mentioned the word normalization. Can you define that for listeners who might be new to the series?
Of course, normalization is a specific term Montessori used. It doesn't mean making them normal, like, boring or average. It means a return to their true, natural, healthy state.
Like restoring a phone to its factory settings.
That's a great way to put it. It's about stripping away all the deviations, the tantrums, the nervous hunger, the pickiness, and revealing the calm, focused, joyful, and healthy child that was there underneath all along.
The idea is that the child is naturally good, naturally healthy.
Yes. The deviations are just reactions, just symptoms of an environment that isn't meeting their needs.
And what's the trigger for this normalization? What kicks it off? Is it a specific toy? Is it a special teacher?
It's one thing, one word: concentration.
Concentration, not play.
No, she was very specific. Concentration on meaningful work.
Okay, walk me through the chain reaction here. How does my kid concentrating on a task fix their digestion? It sounds like a leap.
It does, but it's a direct path. So, step 1, the child in a prepared environment finds an activity that genuinely fascinates them. This is key. It can't be work that's forced on them.
It has to be something that calls to them.
It has to call something. In a Montessori room, this could be anything. It could be washing a small table, polishing a little shoe, arranging flowers, or working with a puzzle map.
I have to stop you there. Polishing shoes. Kids are actually fascinated by polishing shoes.
They love it. Think about it from their perspective. It's a real process with a beginning, middle, and end. It has cool, interesting tools, brushes, cloths, the polish itself, and it has a clear, visible result. The dull shoe becomes shiny.
So it gives them a sense of competence. I did that.
A profound sense of competence. It connects them to reality. My work has an effect on the world.
Okay, so they find this work, then what?
Step 2. They engage with it deeply, they concentrate, and in that moment of intense focus, all the internal chaos just vanishes.
The restlessness.
The boredom is gone, the anxiety is gone, the power struggle with the adult world is gone. It's just them and the work.
It's what we'd call a flow state, like an artist painting or a musician playing.
It is exactly a flow state, a spiritual flow state.
Yeah.
And then step 3. That profound peace travels from the mind directly into the body.
And this is where the biology kicks back in.
This is where it all connects. When the spirit is calm and satisfied by that work, the body's stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, they just plummet. The parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest friend, takes over.
So the nervous hunger goes away because the void is finally filled with something meaningful.
Precisely. It's filled with interest, not with food. And the loss of appetite disappears because the child now feels autonomous and capable in their work, so they no longer need to fight for control at the dinner table.
You're solving the root cause, not just slapping a bandage on the symptom.
Exactly. And this leads directly to those physical manifestations we talked about at the very beginning. The digestion improves naturally because the body is finally relaxed. The immune system actually strengthens because chronic stress suppresses our immunity, and now that stress is gone.
And the visual changes. The glowing face.
It's literal. It's not just a metaphor. You can see it in their eyes. They look present and alert. Their skin color improves because their circulation is better. They hold themselves differently with better posture. They literally look like different children.
I want to touch on something specific here from the Al-Mahaba Foundation.
Yeah.
The outline mentions their belief about service.
Yes, this is a really important and beautiful nuance. The foundation emphasizes that service provides the path to normalization. Work isn't just about keeping busy, it's about being useful.
Being useful. That feels like such an adult need.
It's a fundamental human need, even for a 3-year-old, especially for a 3-year-old.
How so?
When a child does work that serves themselves, like learning to button their own shirt, or even more powerfully, serves others, like setting the table for the family or serving a snack to a friend, they feel valuable.
They feel a sense of purpose.
They feel a sense of purpose. I am a contributor. I matter to this community, and purpose is the ultimate health tonic.
Purpose is the ultimate vitamin.
It is. A child with a purpose is a healthy child. A child without a purpose is a child at risk, both physically and spiritually. We think children just want to play and be entertained, but what they desperately want is to belong and to matter.
This reminds me of the core motto of healing that's in the notes. It says, "We don't feed them to health, we free them to health."
That is the one line to write down. If you take one single thing away from this whole deep dive, let it be that.
We don't feed them to health, we free them to health.
The difference is everything. Passive care, just stuffing them with food, wrapping them in cotton wool, keeping them safe on the couch, that is not enough. That's just keeping a plant alive in a dark room.
Right.
Active empowerment, freeing them to work, to move, to choose, to make mistakes. That is putting the plant in the sun where it can actually grow.
It's the difference between merely surviving and truly thriving.
Precisely.
You know, this whole conversation, it completely changes how I think about a sick day. Obviously, if a kid has a high fever, they need to rest. But for all those vague ailments, the low-grade lethargy, the constant tummy aches, the I just don't feel good days, maybe the first question shouldn't be what bug do they have, but is this child's spirit getting enough exercise?
That is the critical thinking we have to adopt. We need to become detectives of the soul. Before we reach for the thermometer or the medicine bottle, we should scan the environment. Is it too restrictive? Is it too boring? Is it too controlling?
This has been absolutely incredible. I mean, we started with a medical mystery in the slums of Rome.
Sick kids getting healthy with no medicine.
And we realized that the mind and body are just one system. We debunked the whole myth of the good eater, and exposed the tragedy of nervous hunger.
We reframed the picky eater as a freedom
A
fighter.
freedom fighter. I love that.
Hmm.
And we found the cure not in a bottle, but in meaningful work and concentration.
It's a beautiful, logical architecture. The spirit builds the body. If you want a strong house, you need a happy architect.
If you want a strong house, you need a happy architect. That's the quote of the day. And well, that brings us toward the end of this episode of Building Humans. But don't worry, we are not done yet.
No, not even close.
Next time, we're going to tackle something that every single parent feels deep in their bones. We're going to look at the conflict between the adult and the child.
We're going to explore why we are, as the source says, accidentally in a war at home. We love our children more than anything, yet we constantly find ourselves in conflict with them. Why is that? Is it inevitable?
Or is it all just a massive misunderstanding of their true nature? I cannot wait for that one. But for today, my advice to you, our listener, is this. Stop looking only at the pharmacy and start looking at the soul. And if you want to understand these ideas on a deeper level, you have to go to the source.
Support the source. Build the human.
Head over to the Dar el Kalima Library. That's at darelkalima.com, DARELKLEMA.com. That is where you can get a copy of The Secret of Childhood, the book all these insights are based on. Please read it. It will completely change how you see your children.
It's really a manual for the human spirit.
This has been Building a Human, Episode 19. A huge, heartfelt thank you to the Al-Mahaba Foundation and to Dar el Kalima Publishing House for making all of this possible.
And please remember our motto, the principle that guides everything we do,
Love for all.
and service to all.
We'll see you next time.